பாரதத்தின் சொந்தங்களுக்கு வணக்கம். Today I have IAM retired Professor Ramesh with me. Earlier when we had a discussion, we were telling like we will discuss about the GDP of India from 1950 to how it is today. So when we compare today, India is the fifth largest economy, wherein which the German and Japan, which were devastated during 1945 Second World War, they are precisely in the third and fourth largest economy of the world. So we have missed the bus. As Professor always says, we have missed the bus.
But at that point, also Germany had factories, had new manufacturing, they are manufacturing at a large scale. Japan also, okay, and they had, institution, but they all had a strong national feelings. Okay, that is what also brought them back very soon. We fought for our nation. We had national feeling. Once we achieved independence, that became secondary, and everything else became more important. We lost that nationalistic flavor. In fact, in the first decade, we still had leaders like Kamraj and all those people who were driving us, isn't it? The
Right.
very initial cabinet of Nehru and all that. That had Patel, for example, he was there, Nehru was there, all those people who were driving it. The leadership carried, but leadership by then itself it got dissipated. I mean, they had their own turfs to protect, their own turfs to battle. Otherwise, think of it. Why would Kamraj would have come out with a Kamraj plan to weed out the elders who are actually the people who fought the freedom? Okay, which means by then almost we lost the freedom spirit. Okay, and the nationalistic spirit. Yeah.
See, when those countries were devastated, so the basic living for the people, even there it was a challenge. People were under poverty, should have been under poverty. The basic necessities were not filled. So the same was the condition in India. So how people there took it or how they overcome that, because like the basic necessity of food, shelter, everything was a problem, be it in India or be it in the Germany or Japan. How did people overcome that? And they grew
Correct.
in the meantime, where we were struggling to bring people out of poverty. Even now, in the last report,
We
last in
are,
the
we
last
are.
10 years
Extreme
regime,
poverty,
we see.
extreme poverty is still there in India. Yeah.
Right. In the last 10 years of Modi regime, we say we have brought out 25 crore people out from the poverty. But, in such countries, at least in Germany, in US, I have seen people under poverty. I have seen homeless. But I'm not sure about Germany and Japan. I don't think so. There are people, under that extreme poverty, at least today.
Yeah, if you add up these countries, it adds to 25 crore population.
Right.
Okay. So we lift out three, four countries out of extreme poverty. Okay. The point is, you are right. So you are asking that, they were also in similar condition. I'll tell you, at that point, Germans were having 800 calories and it was increased to 1100 calories per day. Okay. So you can imagine that was, now it's about 2400 is the norm or something like that.
Is it the East
2400,
Germany or the West
3000
Germany?
combined Germany, let's say
Okay.
1950s, like even West Germany. West Germany also was 1100 calories. Okay. It took another 5, 6 years to come out of that actually. So they were having rations. Okay. In fact, they were saying that they were spending probably a few hours, couple of hours in trying to get ration. Okay, in these countries. So that was the time. That's something, another achievement. They say that we reduce it to half an hour or something like that. Okay,
Okay.
like that. For us, it was like more like a wait. You don't know when it will come to the ration shop. I'm telling you, when my mother was really looking for it and like that. No, we used to go and get those rations, and that also they'll be like brown rice. Okay, it won't be really great those rice, and that was also sometime during the, if I remember, like Chinese war. At the time of Chinese war, we were really in a pretty pathetic condition. 1962, I remember.
62,
You
right.
know, yeah, we are in very. So some of the things I can tell you. That's what I contrasted with Germany, East Germany, and West Germany. Is that they made West Germany and Japan made the right institutional choices and governance choices, which is about capitalism, market mechanism, okay, and then the type of leadership they had. They had truly a democratically elected, democracy and like that. That's something the Allied forces oversaw, okay, because they wanted to really cut that umbilical cord with the previous kings, princely states of Japan, and here the Third Reich in Germany. Okay, so that they wanted to completely give them a fresh start. Both countries had a fresh start in terms of democracy. We also had a fresh start in terms of democracy. Okay, but it didn't really shape the way it should have. Okay, then there are all of lot of family concerns and this that businesses. It became more commercial. I mean, I don't know where we lost the track in democracy, our own democracy. In market mechanism, we definitely lost. Maybe that also, see, I would rather say economy played upon the politics, politics played upon the economy. In the sense, the moment you went for socialism, there were a lot of scarcities and there's a lot of centralization. Then politics gets corrupted. Then corrupted politics make corrupted economic decisions. Okay, so it was actually reinforcing each other at that point. So we could never come out of that. Okay, that probably, and it took 1991 is the when we really had a real change during Narasimha Rao time and Manmohan Singh time, which again took another 10 years, like what you call a dismantle that previous license regime and come to the new regime like that, which included, in fact, even liberalizing income tax and all that. Our tax rates was indeed very high, 90% marginal tax and things like that. And those people are complaining now, saying that middle class is ignored, middle class is ignored like that. So what we were saying is that, I mean, at the time we were not similar countries, but economically
We
we
were
were all
similar.
devastated. But they had a manufacturing base, we didn't even have that. Okay, but all of us had a national flavor, but they could persist with the, but somewhere we lost the national flavor. Our cities were getting built, not devastated, but their cities were built but completely devastated. See, at the end of the Second World War, by then itself, London still had an underground metro. Okay, now only we are building the metro.
It was
Okay,
right.
and they had agriculture, strong agricultural base, and they had strong energy, like coal industry was thriving, and then things like those days. Okay, so it wasn't. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's easy to rebuild than start new. Okay, we were in a state where we were starting new. Okay, but the point is that we could have, if we had taken a different track, probably we could have grown like China grew post 90. Okay, so that's one example. Probably we could have taken. Let's say at 1950, if you are not ready, until 1960, probably you could have treated it as a reconstruction period. But from 1960, at least, we could have grown. We didn't do that. In fact, in 1960s, I mean, from 1965 onwards, worse still, we started nationalizing. Okay. In Japan, what they did was, there's one group, some groups had a stranglehold on the banking sector and manufacturing sector. These people didn't want to dismantle it, but they made it more, made it more democratic. Well, I would say they sort of split it up so that no single monopoly company owns it. Okay, so that,
So,
but they didn't nationalize in Japan. Okay, they were more like family owned, but they sort of made it more corporate. In India, what happened, instead of developing the corporate enterprises, we actually killed them and we went for a public sector.
right.
And even now, I don't know, this government also is trying to revive the public sector. I mean, what is the meaning of reviving a company after 70 years of struggle? I don't understand. Which
So
means it
the
has no economic rationale for continuation at all. So
so
these
how
were.
much do you see socialism as the reason for this? Or per se, like, see, for example, I take DRDO, where in which we are struggling to build one, the fighter jet. Still we have the engines imported from America, so we don't
Correct.
have ours. Though we call it, we have done it on our own. We have some of the technologies or thing from America. After 70 years, close to 70 years, we are still not able to make our own and have
So
it completely.
socialism translated into two things. One is that which was more strangling is that on ownership. We came down very heavily on ownership and entrepreneurship. Okay, which actually translated to entrepreneurship because we had a very heavy license rush and on the name of the monopoly, I mean anti-monopoly and antitrust, you say in US. Okay, we control the industries very highly. Okay, like if somebody is making a 2000 cars per year, if he has to make even 2001th car also, he needs a permission and approval. Otherwise, I mean, there can be severe penalty. Okay. Now, that was one reason. Socialism, it got translated to as control of ownership, okay, which actually stifled investment and growth. Okay. On the other hand, the public sector didn't grow so much. So obviously there was no alternate employ. At least in Russia, the public sector was growing, so they could take care. Okay, during the Cold War. But even then, you are seeing how much they are struggling even now after the split of USSR happened like that.
Right.
Another angle socialism they were saying is about the all the freebies now we are doing. All of them had the roots at that point in terms of public distributions and then various benefits and subsidies. We call it subsidies, isn't it? Now the point is there was some rationale for some time for some industries, not perennially for all industries and all groups and like that. Okay. So we continued beyond the expiry of the life. Okay. So that again, made socialism unproductive. Again, we needed probably reconstruction of both the society and the industry at that point, but it need not have been only through socialism. Okay. It's not that West Germany people are thrown to the wolves. Everybody was taken care. Okay. On the other hand, in fact, in Eastern Europe, people are thrown to the wolves. Then finally, they had to come up the curve. Okay. So you try to attack poverty, which never happened. Like if we had to, I mean, if Modi ji says that 25 crore people he uplifted, reality is that they were there even after 70 years
Right.
of planning and development and like that. Okay. And we know, and other countries they never had. Again, let me say one point here that it's really not comparable given the size of the country. Okay. Now, why did this country become such a size? Also, we have one has to question. Okay, it's not like we are large, so I need a sympathy. I need a sympathy like that. I mean, nobody's going to have sympathy for the sort of growth that you had. Okay. Another thing I would say is that there is no single factor which can explain why we are here now and why we are there. Okay. For example, in the beginning years, let me make this point. We kept blaming the Hindu rate of return. I mean, Hindu, I don't know why did you give that label at all? What had to do with the Hindu? Why don't you call it secular rate of growth? In fact, we call all these growth trends a secular trend, isn't it? So we
Right.
should actually call it secular growth. Why did you call it Hindu growth? Isn't it? It's written in the preamble of the constitution. We could have called it as later, of course, amended, but we could have called it probably secular growth rather than the Hindu growth. So we again, almost demoralized ourselves. We said that we cannot be industrialists, we cannot be innovators, we can't be investors. So only the government can do. In fact, forget all that. We are told that we cannot even manage our temples, isn't it?
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know who managed the churches in Germany, West Germany, East Germany, but we were told that, oh no, you can't manage even your own temples. Let me manage that. That's what the post-colony government told us. Post-colonized government told us. Okay, yeah.
So, in spite of having best of the best brains in India, see, when you see innovation technology, we had the best brains, but again, we all ended up in brain drain where this best brains, without opportunities, as you said, like, in spite of not nurturing the entrepreneurship, many left to many other countries, and,
Mm, correct.
yeah, we had that severe brain drain. I suppose it's from 1970 to 1990s, where we lost the best of the best brains to other developing countries who were at the verge of developing, like
So
10
I
years
will tell
ago.
you about our own socialistic choices. Okay, it was really, I would say, achievement of Nehru that he that time thought of IIT. Okay, and he even said one of the factories is the temples of India and all that. These were also temples of India. Okay, IITs.
Right.
Now, but the country had no role for them. Okay, and they all went abroad. Of course, in the 50s and 60s and 70s, not 50s, 60s and 70s, many of them were getting employed in the public sector. So, in fact, many of them used to join the public sector and then leave. Okay, leave either for the private sector or for the. So that time itself the employment policy had failed, or they used to go to the US for further studies. Okay. Now after that we had no higher institutions to really retain them. After that we had no market to retain them. Okay. So we only did so much that we built IITs and trained them, educated them. but
and
we had no
send
strategy for
them to other
engaging them.
countries.
In fact, Lalu Prasad ji used to say that when he was the railway minister, that railways has got even today probably maximum number of IIT engineers. Okay, but is railways some Google or in terms of, let's say, market perceptions, or some Ford Motor, or any of those automobile industries, or any other bullet train comparable, or any Japanese train comparable? You are saying you got the best of the brains, isn't it? Because you said you are the best of the brains India had. But the point is, we had no strategy for utilizing them. Okay, and we didn't have the ambience for utilizing them. Okay, so there was a brain drain, or whichever brain got retained in India, they rusted. They are allowed to rust. They were not exploited. Maybe only few successful organization I can think of is one is ISRO. Okay, there they really proved themselves,
Prove
though
them.
with a lot of struggle, thanks to people like Vikram Sarabhai, initial founders and like that. Okay, but beyond that, you don't have many success stories.
Of
Whatever they
course.
achieved, I always used to say, like, okay, I mean, Nehru policy that time was correct, Congress policy was correct. But if I had to sum it up in one sentence, it's like what was achieved in 70 years should have been achieved in 25 years. That's what I can say. That's the
That's
meaning
all.
of growth. That's the meaning of growth, actually. Yeah.
Right. When we talk about three countries in 1950 in same, economy status, but with a different population, count, but, in a different level of devastation. I would not say India was devastated. India was looted. But those other two countries were devastated, where everything was burnt and they had to rebuild. But we didn't have that facility those days. We had to start from the scratch, but we could have done it. As we said, we don't have a, doubt if India had the best brains. We did have,
Correct.
but, to leverage that expertise, or to leverage that best brains, we didn't have infrastructure to do that, which we may blame, as you said, we may blame the economy, or we may blame the, institutional decisions, many other things. Whatever, as you exactly said, whatever we achieved in 75 years should have been done in 25 years. We are like 50 years lagging. But now what we could see is, in the last 5 years, we see a lot of entrepreneurs coming, lot of, unicorns coming in India. We see a lot of, support from the government, even for the entrepreneurs, and, new companies are being started here. And especially we are doing a good progress in many other technologies with the Atmanirbhar, make in India. Instead of being just an importer for everything, I think we have done a very considerable amount of export, especially in defense. In the last 5 years, I think we have done close to 25 crore of export, if I'm not wrong. So we have done very good export. After a long time, we have done a very good amount of export in the defense, and we are also looking to multiply it more in by 2030. And our goal, our target in 2030 is like India would be the third largest economy. How do you see that? Are we going on track towards that goal?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that will be achieved. We'll be, I mean, so again, it's like this. It's a Japanese only, I think. They had this objective that their workers will earn double the pay. Okay. Like even our own policy, it was there, farmers, but then farm bills curtailed it. Okay. Modi ji wanted to double the return of the farmers, okay, on the same land. Okay, that was the policy he was pursuing through the farm policy, no farm acts. Okay, so that will happen, but the challenge lies in, I mean, also moving up on the per capita income front. Okay,
Right.
and so the GDP per se, people will discount us. But only thing that GDP gives us is global purchase power. Okay, so on the table we will be looked upon. Okay, otherwise you will be looked down. And those, imagine having World Bank meet, small meet, India meet to discuss each country how much they should give to India. That was the position at one time. Okay,
Right.
and now look at Pakistan where it is. Okay,
It's
it's
nowhere
in a
in
begging
the
state,
picture.
perennial begging. It's a perennial begging state. Okay,
Right.
but in fact, Bangladesh has done much better. I mean, maybe that on some other time we can do that. Okay,
Sure.
among the three countries, and but Pakistan has been perennially bankrupt because his only, it his only intention is to ruin India than grow Pakistan.
Right.
Okay, with that strategy, how would ever anybody? I mean, can you do it? Think of put to your neighbor in US, and then do you think you will grow by that? You will never grow by that,
Obviously,
isn't
no.
it? And nobody would wish that also. What, what, even whoever may be the enemy also. Okay, so that is achievable. We will become the third. I mean, we'll meet Germany soon. But what I'm really looking for is that will we become the manufacturing base? All these two countries were actually the manufacturing countries. All the countries you are talking. In fact, even London, if you see, it moved away from being manufacturing to services country. In fact, London was also known as the financial center of the world. Now nobody talks about that, of course. But I mean, at one time it was a financial center, London, stock exchange, and then London Bank and all that. So these were also the manufacturing state. China was also manufacturing state when it grew up. So probably we have to focus on manufacturing, even though services route is much easier and faster, and it provides more employment opportunities. Okay, but somehow the history tells us that manufacturing is must if you want really, the economic security and economic growth. So I'm sure the government is really focused on all that, and we will achieve that. But what I'm really looking at after that, what? Okay. Because being third, as I told you, is first without second and second without third.
Sure.
And
Right.
fourth, fifth, sixth, sixth are all very close to us. Okay.
Right. Right.
So how do we bridge gap with China? That's the next question that I would ask. And that would again discuss one discussion by itself. I mean, yeah.
China is as on today, I think 6 times higher than us in the, I mean, GDP. I think they are
And
close to
no,
70.
no, they are 18 billion and we are 4 billion, and 4.5 times probably.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 4.5 times. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
China, US is, I mean, yeah.
Right. US is even more far. I think they are close to
China,
34.
I mean, of course, China is crumbling and is actually having its own economic problems and like that. And it might decline also. Its growth rate will be declining, of course. It might decline or may not grow fast. So that's one reason why we may catch up. But the
But
point
the
is
recent
that's a
IMF
long,
report,
long way. I mean, 18 billion is too long a distance to travel for us,
right.
even at current pay, current level of China, I'm saying.
Right. But the recent IMF reports that is predicted for 2024 and 2025 has predicted the same 6.5 to 7% growth for India, but in the same time they have given like 5% growth for China, which is very good for their amount of,
So they always give 1% more to China and 1% less to India from actual. Okay.
okay, okay, yeah. For the past few years,
Mm.
yes, even I saw
No,
that
many years. Yeah, that has been their behavior. Mm. Even though no, I mean Chinese government itself may not know its growth rate, but everybody else knows its growth rate. Okay.
yeah, maybe even if you say IMF report says that we don't know what exactly the data is, where they get the data from, what exactly is going inside the country, nobody knows. It's just an iron
Correct.
curtain inside.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor, for your time. It was a
Thank
very
you.
wonderful discussion and, very insightful discussion, like, where we traveled as a country, where we traveled from 1950 to 2023 and what we have in future when our Prime Minister says like Viksit Bharat, Viksit Bharat 2047. In 2047, we will be the biggest economy and we will have that kind of growth. As you said, it's not only the matter of GDP, it also depends on the per capita income, like where
Yeah.
everyone gets that,
Good.
get that growth from every person. So the rich are getting richer, or the middle class still stay saying, even in this budget, I didn't get anything. And still, after 5 years, we still say, like, okay, another 20 crore people we pulled out from the poverty. That is not going to be the original growth, as we say. We need growth across the sectors. We need to see growth across the, across the people in all the levels, maybe the richer or the middle class or the lower middle class. We want them, to leap one level ahead of where they are now. Thank you for your time, Professor.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.